Today, we are having the last session, academic session, and tomorrow we'll have the closing session. And just in time, Larry joined us today, right? So we save the best for the last, I hope. So,
Thank you.
Larry has enormous experience in this landscape, entrepreneurship, technology transfer, and it's an invaluable opportunity for all of us to listen to him and learn from his experiences, his advices, recommendations to become a successful entrepreneur, right? As you walk through your journey. Let me formally introduce Larry.
Okay.
Lawrence J. Udell. We call him Larry. We love you, Larry, so much for taking
Professor of
your time.
Entrepreneurship.
Yep, excellent. So Larry is well known as the founder and chairman of the California Invention Center, created in 1995 at California State University. As an adjunct professor of entrepreneurship, he has taught courses on new ventures for over 40 years at various universities in the United States and all over the world under WIPO, that is United Nations programs. He founded the Silicon Valley chapter of the Licensing Executive Society in year 2000, which today is the number one chapter of the LES International. That is about 97 countries. So quite an achievement, Larry.
Thank
He has
you.
founded over 30 new ventures to date, and Professor Udell provides consulting to both startups and Fortune 500 companies, and lectures frequently at inventor, corporate, and government functions throughout the US. He has mentored thousands of inventors and hundreds of new ventures, I think, throughout his half a century journey career. So Larry serves as special advisor on new ventures with the president of New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. So he has been featured and quoted in publications including uh, the reputed Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Time Magazine, World Almanac, Washington Post, and few more. I'm sure he has not missed any. And he has taught many, many
Okay.
courses. On the left, you can see the lineup. So it's quite an achievement up to date. So Larry, without further ado, it's my pleasure to cordially invite you to take over the proceedings.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me, first of all, say good morning from San Francisco. Since I have limited time, let me just touch on a few things over my decades of experience. Entrepreneurs I've worked with of all ages, from teenagers to people in their 70s and 80s, men and women, have a dream. That's what it starts with. They have a dream that they want to achieve in their life for themselves and their family. And basically, that dream has to have some foundation to it. Oftentimes, they will go off and believe in the dream that is supported by other family members and not really their homework. It is critical that if you're going to start a new venture, you do your homework. And I mean homework by research. Do all of the things that are necessary to research the competition, how the product will sell, to hopefully the successful end. Where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? You've got to have that vision of projection to where do you want this opportunity to take you? And also, how is your family involved? Whatever you're doing, you have to involve your family. even your children on occasion, why you can't buy a new bicycle because money's going to the patent attorney. So, I mean, everyone in your life has to understand the situation and the dream that you're on the path to success. You have to learn to adapt also, adapt and change all the things you're doing that interfere with the focus. Let's put it that way. Seeking advice from others is great, but make sure that the advice they give you comes from the knowledge and experience they have as an individual themselves in trying an entrepreneurial endeavor and learning to adapt. You have to be very flexible in your trip down entrepreneur lane. Not you can recognize negatives, but at the same time, outside influences oftentimes say negative connotations of what it is you're attempting to do. You listen to them. Don't be upset by those who give you negative responses to what you're doing. Listen to them and learn from them. At the same time, don't let those naysayers destroy your dream. Remember that the people that succeed, the young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs who succeed based on the fact that they know exactly where they're going. They created a technology or product or service that they know there's a market for. They strive to achieve that objective, but at the same time, look at the competition. Who's there now? Who's going to be my competitor? Who's going to fight with me to retain their business? So it's a matter of knowing all of the avenues of opportunity that you have to pursue. Be an individual, though. Be an individual that knows and has outlined, and I'm talking about creating a business plan. You can start very small at the beginning, but as time goes on, as you learn more about yourself and about your potential business, you have to recognize the fact that what you learn will either be successful or be negative in the development of your business. So just keep in mind that these things are critical in your road down entrepreneur lane. And like I said before, seek out potential partners, people who could join your dream, that have strengths to balance your weaknesses, whether it's legal, whether it's accounting, whether it's just plain business knowledge. People who are basically the same age or maybe older with more experience that can provide the information you need to make a solid foundation. And you need to do all of this if you're going to be looking for funding. I don't know how the situation is over there regarding funding, but in the United States, we have a lot of money available from private individuals, venture capitalists, and so forth that invest in new ventures. However, the venture capital industry, basically in the United States, is looking at companies that have already started, they've achieved certain levels of success, and they have sales, they have a roadmap to achieve the success that an investor would put money into. So be cautious, but at the same time, the dream that you have can become reality. I don't know what your patent system is in that over there, but at the same time, don't go around bragging or boasting about your idea to too many people, because someone could wind up stealing it and you wind up losing it. So if it's a great idea and a great potential, then look at it as that and hold it close to your chest that it is something that you have created and you want to achieve that success based on what you've created. And I might add that if anyone wants to send me an email to ask questions or any kind of help, I'd be more than happy to provide help to you. So send an email to Larry, Larry, at les-svc.org. That's Larry at les-svc.org, which stands for Licensing Executive Society of Silicon Valley Chapter. When you seek out an attorney for advice, make sure that attorney tells you right up front what it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. So any protection that you want to acquire for your idea, your product, etc., you need to know in advance what it is you're committing to, how much and how long it's going to take. So this is true of anyone that joins your team. I've worked with teams as small as 2 people to teams as much as 12 people. And each individual has to have the same common focus. There has to be a joint effort by all of the participants in creating the team and the success of that team and that product. So as an individual, you as the founder, in most cases will take the lead and set the examples for the team in building the company. Just remember that the company itself has to have its own future. It has to be in your vision what it's going to look like, as I said previously, in a year, 2 years, 5 years from now. And all of these things will be creating questions, more and more questions that need answering. Go to your university, go to your professors, go to individuals that are in business already and ask questions. Make sure that you have created your own list of questions that you need answers to. Make it very organized. Show that you as an individual are capable of building a company and that you have control over what it is you're doing to the point that you're willing to devote your time, energies, money, and whatever to building that company. And also, how far will the products reach beyond your own world? Can it be international? Why can't the product or service or whatever it is you're creating be used around the world? So there you have to start thinking about protection. How do you protect what it is you're creating? And in so doing, looking at the markets, the various markets in different countries that justify your spending the money to potentially protect that technology or that product. So be aware that the end result is only successful based on the pathway that you create along with the assistance of others on the team. That pathway has to know where you're going, again, the roadmap, how to achieve it, and what are the pitfalls that could occur in between time. And look at other companies that have started. How did they start? They started from ideas. They started from an individual with a dream. So in that particular case, look and explore how other companies are doing it and have done it. How did they become successful? What was their primary ingredient to be successful? And oftentimes you can even consult with people who have done it and ask their advice. They're more than happy to help, especially as a student. Students have the ability to open doors to corporations and businesses because you're a student and you're asking for help. So keep that in mind as to the abilities you have as an individual and the fact that you are not alone, and also that make sure that your family, once again, is involved and understand what it is you're doing. And they have to know and be very supportive of what you're doing. And I think I've just reached my 20 minutes. Am I correct, Rohan?
Yes, Larry, but be comfortable. Take a few
You
more
said,
minutes because I took 5 minutes of your time earlier.
okay. Well, as I said before, send me an emails, ask me questions, look to those around you. You've got a lot of wonderful people that surround you in this class. All of the members of this class have a dream, and that dream is one to be successful, be recognized, hopefully become wealthy. But at the same time, that dream has to be reality. You have to look at it very realistically and not come up with what shall I say, smoke and mirrors. It has to be solid. That's how you become, because of the research you're going to be doing. Make sure that the research you conduct is total and complete in every aspect of your starting the company. So make sure that those who join you, and whatever time they join you, understand what that dream is and why you are on a pathway to achieve it. And at the same time, bringing them along as potential successes with you. So send me an email, Larry at les-svc.org, and I'll be happy to provide you with any information or questions you have or contacts. I have contacts all over the world that can be helpful. The only one I have in Sri Lanka is Rohan. So
I'll make sure I'll be distributing your email address to the participants, Larry.
Okay. All right. Well, those are my brief words of wisdom. Go do it and make a positive change to the world, your world, and the world around you. Be successful. The opportunities are endless, what you can accomplish. The world is crying for new products, new services, and individuals that can make a difference in the life and health and wealth of other people. We're one planet with a lot of people that need help. So keep that in mind in your travels.
Thank you very much. That was very highly inspirational, Larry. Enormous amount of experience behind you, and I think it help our participants build their confidence going forward. We have few questions, Larry, for you from the participants. Let me speak it out for you. The first one: does the USA support startups from the countries like Sri Lanka?
Would you repeat that, please?
Does USA support startups from other countries like Sri Lanka?
Yes. Maybe not the US government, but people in this country who are looking into the international world, not isolated to America. We are all over the world. So yes, to answer your question.
Excellent. There's another one, Larry. What are the opportunities for Sri Lankan startups to pitch in your institution? Is there any Are there any forums in the US so that the startup companies in Sri Lanka can pitch?
Definitely. When I traveled to Egypt years ago, United Nations, I set up people in Cairo starting companies that sold their products in the United States. So by all means, yes, the world is in the palm of your hand. Just explore the wonderful opportunities that exist, and America is always interested in helping. Yes.
All right, for the participants, I will do my homework and get you more details on how to pitch, where to pitch, and all that. We have now a common WhatsApp group and also common email. I will distribute all that information. And I have one question, Larry, to you. And you mentioned about getting the family around the dream. Okay, then there's a special individual who is having this startup idea. He has a bright idea, but he needs a lot of family support. But he has more chance of being failure than a success initially. He has to try it out maybe a couple of times. He will fail and then he has to get going again. So it's very easy that he will upset the family front. Family members might get disappointed very easily. Any quick advice for you how to handle such situations?
Okay, very quickly. The reason you need to keep your family informed, and I mean not only your spouse and your parents and your children, is because everything you're doing has an effect on their lives, whether it's negative or positive. You will find yourself doing without things because of the business and what you have to devote your time to the business and taking it away from family. Please limit it. Remember, being successful and being wealthy and recognized without a family anymore is not the answer to success. I have situations that I've lived through with people that have lost their family because they were not kept informed of what they were doing, unfortunately. So it's critical that the family is supporting of you and understands what it is you're doing.
Thank you very much, Larry. I think this is very, very important advice. Usually, we don't get to hear that kind of advice unless from very experienced person like you. A lot of advisors give the advice, now go all out for that startup, which means indirectly you have to forget about everything else, including family. But that is not correct. We know that. And thank you again, Larry, for sharing your time today. And
You're
I'll
most
be in touch with
welcome.
you.
Okay, go do it, kids. The world is in the palm of your hands. Go do it.
All right, excellent. Then for now, bye from here, Larry.
Thank you.
All right. Now let me introduce our next speaker of the day. In fact, as you remember, we had to switch back and forth some of the sessions earlier in the course, and Tasin couldn't do his presentation according to the schedule because he was sick on that day. And after that, now he's back home and he's ready to go. Thank you, Tasin, for joining in this evening.
It's my pleasure, Professor. Thank you.
So let me formally introduce Tasin. Tasim is a specialist advisor at PwC Sri Lanka, and he serves as a visiting lecturer at the University of Sri Jawatanapura and University of Colombo School of Computing. He has worked at the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce Academy, and he's a co-founder of the Hub Point Global, which is one of the leading co-working space companies in Sri Lanka. And Tasim has conducted a digital marketing program in Malé, Maldives. He's the director of Venture Green Private Limited, and Tasim has experiences in corporate training, entrepreneurship empowerment, digital marketing, strategic management, service excellence, and disruptive branding. So he's here today to talk to you about branding. That is something very, very important for your startup company. What is your brand? Okay. So why people know you for what you are doing, right? So that's basically branding. And Tasim holds BA honors in business management from the University of East London. Tasim, please take over the proceedings.
Thank you, Professor Rohan. So firstly, I'd like to thank you for giving this opportunity for me to be able to share my knowledge on branding and especially digital branding to all the participants here today. And I'm very happy to see that despite the long weekend, we have such a large number of people who are willing to learn and about different areas. And that's actually a very good positive sign. So again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. And I think this topic about branding, especially digital branding, is something that's very important, especially because the situation that our country is in, everyone is looking to for a side hustle. That's the word that I use, because anyone who's having a business or anyone who's having a job is looking for a side business. In fact, according to statistics, in the US itself, almost 60% of employees, they have something called a side hustle. A side hustle is a startup or a business venture they're partnering with. And like Larry said earlier, it's very dangerous to actually leave your job and jump into a business immediately. So what you need to do is have the job and look for a side business or a partner, and maybe on the weekends or when you're free in the evening, look into opportunities and explore. I think that's what Americans are doing, and almost 66% of employees have a side hustle. So I think with the economic situation in Sri Lanka, it's becoming more and more important for individuals and companies to look into this opportunity to actually make more money and to survive, basically. So let me start off by sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible to all. Okay. So before I start and I go on to the next slide, I want everyone to basically understand what's the difference between branding and marketing. Because now what I'm going to talk about is today it's about branding, but technically, if you see things, you can't just say branding because it's more important to talk about digital branding. So that's why, since I'm a lecturer at Jayawardena University and I lecture on digital marketing, I thought I'll just ask a question about what can anyone. I want this to be a very interactive half-an-hour session. I don't have much time to talk much about details, but I'm not going to tell you about how you're going to do this branding, but I'm going to say why it's important during this half-an-hour talk. So first, let me ask you a question, and if anyone knows the answer, you can just switch on your microphone and answer this question. What is the difference between branding and marketing? Can anyone tell me? What is the difference between branding and marketing? It's very important to understand the difference between branding and marketing going forward. So then only we can understand what digital branding is. So before that, I want to ask you, what is the difference between branding and marketing? Can anyone tell me?
Branding is raising the awareness of your brand.
Okay.
Like
Yes, and marketing is?
Marketing is increasing your sales
Okay.
via viable strategies.
Okay, so I think that's actually very close, Dilani. So you're saying branding is creating awareness and marketing is increasing sales. So that's actually a very good definition in its own way. I'll give you the actual definition in the next slide. So that's actually very close. So anyone else? Okay. So let me just go to the definition due to the short time that we have. Okay, so basically the difference between branding and marketing. So branding is basically, you can take, I'll just give an example. The best example I can give is our own personality, right? So if you take branding, branding is, yeah.
There are some other answers on the chat if you want to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I can see the chats now. I'll just go to the chat. Right? Okay. Marketing is the actions you take to connect with your customers, right? Branding is the marketing practice of actually shaping your brand. Okay. Marketing is a promotion about your business. Yeah, those are very good definitions as well. Thank you for those two answers. I didn't see that. It's okay. So let me get to the actual definition. Branding is who you are, and marketing is what you do. For example, you take your own personality, right? And then so branding is who you are, right? So you can have different characteristics. A company can have different characteristics, and within itself, for example, they can have different strengths in terms of financial ability, in terms of human resource. So branding is actually who you are personally or a company. So marketing is what you do, right? So marketing is how you portray that to the outside world. That is, marketing is what you do. So marketing is how you build your awareness. Branding is your strategy. This is something that we need to understand. It's very important. Branding is your strategy, and marketing is how you build your awareness. I hope everyone is clear on the definition, because that's very important, because normally we get confused between marketing and branding. It's very important to understand that for us to understand about digital. So what I do is I keep the definition. Before talking about digital branding, we need to understand what branding actually is. So branding is who you are, marketing is what you do. Marketing is how you build your awareness, and branding is your strategy. So now I'll be in the next slides, I'll show you about different areas of marketing. Okay, so I'm sure most of you would be knowing what a marketing mix is. So I'm not going to explain too much about this, because this is one of the most common concepts of marketing. So marketing mix is very important for any company to do marketing. So a product, so marketing mix comprises of the product, place, price, and promotion. So quickly, what I want to highlight here is not talk about the other four P's. What I want to talk about is the second P here. Now, what's happening now is, because of digital branding, digital marketing, what's happening is place is now basically, you don't need to actually have a physical place. It can be anywhere. So with a smartphone, you can run any business from anywhere. So place has pretty much evolved now. Again, promotion has taken a completely different aspect now, because, for example, recently I spoke to a large corporate in Sri Lanka. So what they're telling me is that they have cut their marketing budget by almost, it's come down by almost 90%, mainly because you spend less on exhibitions now, and you can do everything on your smartphone. For example, I'll show you in the next few slides about how effective social media marketing can be, and how cheap and cost effective it is. So promotions have become much cheaper, and the reach is much more higher as well. So let me go to the next few slides. So this is what I want to show you is Coca-Cola's. I found this this slide here. You can see here. This is Coca-Cola's first advertisement. So they are, as you know, one of the pioneers in marketing and branding. If you talk about branding, you see the first thing that comes to your mind is Coca-Cola. It's one of the most effective branding campaigns in the world. So Coca-Cola's first advertisement here. This is the first advertisement that they did. So now they do everything on social media, and they have more than 300 million likes and followers on Facebook, and they're one of the most effective social media campaigns, which I will show in the next later on in the slides. Right. So I'm going to show you the next few slides about how marketing has actually evolved. Right. So this is a radio, just a photo of a radio. So what we had before was one-way communication. So before, marketing was done via radios, and that was just one-way communication. So the customer could not respond, right? Then we had television, right? This is the first television photo that I could get hold of. As you can see here, that's the size of a TV. So the main point, what I want to mention here is, this is again one-way communication. So the customer could not talk back. So they could only receive information. They couldn't pass feedback, right? So as you know, as you can see here, what happened was 30 years ago or 25, 30 years ago, the only way of communication was one way. My words, my message, my values. So it was all passed on to the customer, and the customer did not have a say. They could not respond. It was always one-way communication. Then I want to come to what we have now. I'm sorry if I'm going a bit too fast, but I want to, it is normally what I do in a lecture, but I want to cover the key aspects here due to the time constraint, but I want to give you the key important points about digital branding. Okay, so digital branding, as you can see here from the images, digital is more towards, as you can see here, emails, text, right, social media, all of that, and traditional newspapers, TV, radio, those were traditional. So now I'm going to show you the difference between digital and traditional. Okay, so this is one of the slides that I use a lot in all my lectures and corporate trainings to show people the clear distinction between traditional and digital. So in one slide, I can show you the clear distinction. Okay, so what I want to show you here is that traditional marketing is more expensive and the reach is less. You can see here traditional marketing. For example, I've used here radio broadcast would cost you $150 to reach 200. Okay, now this is the number of people and this is the cost. Newspaper $250, magazine $500, direct mails $900. This is to reach an audience of 2,000 people. Okay, so I'm going to compare that to digital. Okay, so now you compare that to digital, you can see here the same cost to reach 2,000 people audience is how much? You can see here, clear difference, $50, $75. Now using social media marketing, especially Facebook, Instagram, things have become much more easier. So the key point that you have to understand now, because I'm sure a lot of you already have a business or thinking of starting a business, my advice is don't spend too much on TV advertisements, radio advertisements, newspaper advertisements. Those are now gone. The reach is much higher on social media and the cost is much less. Let me go on to the next slide, which I wanted to show clearly. So the key point that I want to highlight now is digital marketing is two-way communication. So TV, radio, always one communication. Now it's two-way communication. So that's why, as you can see, most companies are now increasing their customer awareness as well. So customer experience, and they're more afraid because, for example, if you're running a business and if one customer posts a negative review on Facebook, your company is gone. So what's happening now is more companies are increasing their customer service. They're providing better customer service, mainly because there's two-way communication involved. So this is a photo that I use just to share. Is that the left is the customer, and sorry, the left is the company, and the right is the customer. So there's free flow of two-way communication happening. Okay, so what I want to highlight now is in this time, I want to talk about global social media usage. It's very important that we understand this and we see the opportunity, because I want to highlight how powerful social media usage is around the world. This is very important for us to start a business and for us to capitalize from this. So this is according to the World Bank statistics. In this, I could only get hold of 2022 statistics last year. So this is, as you can see, 7.44 billion people on Earth. And out of that, very interesting, you can see here, 3.84 billion people are using the internet. That's exactly a bit more than half the world population is using the internet. And out of that, more interesting, 2.46 billion people are using social network users. So not necessarily mobile social network that includes tabs, laptops, mobile phones, all of that. That is 2.46 billion people. So that's again, almost 30% of the world's population is on social network users. The most important point that I want to highlight in this slide is here. 2.01 billion people. So that's 2 billion people are using mobile social network users. Very important to understand. What you can see here is that this is our customer base. So 2 billion people around the world are using mobile social networks. Again, that's a key target market: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that. This is very important facts that we need to understand. The concept change here, best marketplace to target. Okay. Again, you can see here, what I want to show you here is, according to research, social marketers goals for going social. For example, any company, why are they doing social media advertisements? You can see here 70% was to increase brand awareness, 59% was to increase sales lead generation, 48% was to increase community engagement, 46% was to grow brand's audience, and 45% was to increase web traffic. So what I want to highlight here is, out of the main reason why companies are going on social media, 70% of them, of the companies, they are doing this mainly to increase brand awareness. So that is the key fact. And second 59% is to increase sales lead generation. Okay. So now I want to highlight and show you the importance of social media. And it will be a crime not to talk about Mark Zuckerberg. This man, I would say, is one of the most powerful people in the world, mainly because he owns Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and almost 2 billion people using his social media platforms. And so I'll just show you that 97% of top global brands have a presence on Facebook. So the typical mindset when companies are starting business is that, for example, I have encountered this before as well, is that still working with social media, Facebook is for networking and for chatting. But most of the companies, especially big companies also, right? For example, even a garments company, they're all having social media presence, mainly because it increases the brand value, it increases the brand's presence. According to our research, what I have found out is that if you're going to find how credible a company is, for example, if I want to find out if the company is genuine or not, people are not going to websites. Now, most people are going and checking their Facebook page, how many likes they have, how many followers they have on Facebook. So that's how powerful Facebook has become. Okay. Then I want to talk about Instagram. Now, again, people think, now, if you're going to start a business, if you don't have an Instagram page, you can't really make business. Not just to make direct sales, but to increase the brand awareness and to increase the brand's value. So Instagram is now the world's second most active social media platform with almost 1.5 billion people. Again, even B2B companies are using Instagram. 90% of the top global brands have an Instagram presence. Again, according to research, 90% of the top global brands have an Instagram presence. So that's how important it has become. Okay. So I'm talking, so I want to ask a question to anyone. Does anyone know what this slide means? Because I want to talk about brand engagement. Okay. So in terms of brand engagement, you can see here, we have compared Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So as you can see here, Instagram has almost 4 times more brand engagement than Facebook. Can anyone answer this question to me? Why? What is the reason for this? Why Instagram has more brand engagement? Anyone? Okay, sorry. I think there's an answer on chat. Oh, very good.
Only the photos.
Yes, images. Yes. Thank you for that, Prasad. I think
security is high.
Securities wise, yes, it's more secure. You're saying, yes. So I think both are very good answers, but I think Prasad's answer was very good, where he says images and security wise. Images is the most important thing, because, for example, according to research, people who are researching on social media metrics, they found out that images speak words. For example, even if you see, there's another answer. Let me see. Visual branding. Yes, exactly. So visual branding, according to Mr. Raja, he has said visual branding. Yes, exactly. So this advice that I want to give to all of you is when you're doing your social media campaigns, don't spend a lot of time on writing about the post and all of that, but try to speak with words. For example, the best example that I can give you is Apple. If you see Apple's campaigns, how they do it. Okay, Facebook has bigger reach. Okay, I'll answer that question, Mr. Milinda's answer for that. So visual branding is now the key. So if you see Apple, what they do is they don't have a lot of, in the presentations, they don't have a lot of words and all of that. They use images to speak words. Apple is one of the best marketing companies. So again, you can see that captures the mind of the people. So Mr. Milinda has said, I'll answer your question now. You think in Sri Lanka, Facebook has a bigger reach. That's true. Facebook has a bigger reach. I'll come to statistics also. So Facebook has around 8 million active users compared to Instagram. But again, what I'm saying is that even using Instagram, you can, that is the problem. In Sri Lanka, Instagram usage must be increased because of the visual branding. So I would advise more companies to go on Instagram. I know the general mindset is that Instagram is only for kids and teenagers and all of that. But more and more companies, according to my experience, are starting more on Instagram to build awareness and to get more sales as well. So it's about time that you engage more on Instagram with your clients. Okay. So again, what I want to show you is that the world of tagging and, for example, if you use hashtags on Instagram and even on Facebook, the potential to reach is millions. For example, if you say Colombo, you can reach anyone who types Colombo. Right? So that is how important it has become. Okay, so let me answer this question quickly. Ms. Dilani has asked, how about the brand engagement on TikTok? Yes, I think TikTok is also another platform that is, anyway, that is inevitable. People are using TikTok a lot. But TikTok is engaging. But again, the audience for TikTok is not as mature as Instagram. You see, the people are using TikTok. TikTok is a good platform to edit the videos and all, but it depends on your target market. For example, if you're targeting teenagers or millennials, early 20s, TikTok is good. But if you're targeting the more serious crowd, I think Instagram is still a more effective platform, but TikTok is definitely coming up in that way. How about, okay, Mr. Arun has asked, how about YouTube and Pinterest for digital marketing? That's a very good question. Yes. So I will get to that. I think YouTube has always been a good platform in terms of, again, creating awareness, and Pinterest as well. But according to, I think the most engaging social media platforms, again, because like I mentioned earlier, YouTube is good, but Instagram and Facebook are very much two-way communication, right? So on Instagram, you can engage and you can ask questions and you can directly interact, and it's more engaging. So, okay, so Ms. Cicera has asked about LinkedIn. I'll come to that during the end of the slides. LinkedIn is a very professional platform, but still people are not using much to market as well. So LinkedIn is more towards making interactions, but that is now another emerging platform. Okay. Right. So I want to show about this person here. Obviously, everyone knows Cristiano Ronaldo. He's earning more on Instagram advertisements than on playing. He's charging $2 million for one Instagram post. So that is how effective it has become. Yes, so that's another question, another answer from Dailani. So premium customers are more engaged in Instagram. I see more small businesses are growing on Instagram. That's excellent. Yes. So premium customers are increasing and more small companies are directly doing sales on Instagram. So what I want to show from this photo, from this slide, is that Instagram is now, why they're paying $2 million to Cristiano Ronaldo? Why? Because if they're advertising on TV, they don't know that if the customer likes it or not. But on Instagram, they can see the engagement and they can see the two-way communication. So that's why Instagram is so popular. Okay. So again, I want to highlight again, social media is two-way communication. Okay. So I only have around another 10-15 minutes, but I'll quickly wind off the slides. But I want to show you this very important part of the presentation that I prepared is I've got actual statistics about use. So this is according to Hootsuite. I can share the link to Professor, and he will give you that the link to this where you can access more details. But I want to quickly show you. All this time I showed about the world. Now I want to show you about Sri Lanka. Okay, so this is according to 2022 latest figures I could get about from Sri Lanka. According to Hootsuite, via social, they have the most updated statistics. You can see here, in February 2022, essential digital headlines. So Sri Lanka's population is 21.5 million people, and out of that, cellular mobile connections is 32 million. So the best part is, you can see here, 21 million population, but we have 32 million people using mobile phones. We actually are one of the highest in South Asia, 150%, almost 150% mobile phone penetration we have in Sri Lanka. So actually, there are more SIM cards than people using mobile phones, more SIM cards than the population of Sri Lanka. We are more than 150% in terms of digital connectivity and mobile phone connections. Internet users for Sri Lanka is 11.3 million. More than 50% of Sri Lanka's population is using internet. These are very important facts for you because these are your customers. 50% of Sri Lanka's population is using the internet. Again, here you can see social media. How much social media? You can see 8 million people, 8.2 million. That's 38% of Sri Lanka's population is using social media. Again, a very good idea to target these customers via social media because 38% of Sri Lanka's population is using social media. Okay. Number one, I want to talk about the overview of internet use. Okay. So 11.3 million people are using social media on internet. As a percentage, 52.6%. Key point that I want to highlight is year-on-year growth is 4.9%. Mobile internet proxy is 98.8%. Okay. Now I want to come to mobile connectivity. Like I explained, 32 million mobile phone connections, 150% penetration, 3.2% growth, and 84.1% are using mobile connections that are broadband 3G, 4G, 5G. Okay. Now I want to talk about overview of social media use. Okay. Now I talked about internet. Now I want to talk about social media use. 8.2 million people were using social media, and out of that, 38% of the population. Social media usage as users versus population. So you can see here, 13 plus 46.6%. Okay, of the population 13 plus age are using social media. Year-on-year change is 3.8%. A fact that I want to highlight here is based on gender. You can see 36.6% are female, 63.4% are male social media users. Let me quickly take a question. There's a question. Okay, how about Twitter for digital marketing? I will share those slides with you as well. I'll share the link for that. I wanted to show you about Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so now what I want to highlight is, now since I talked about the two key areas, Facebook and Instagram, you can see here 7.15 million people are using Facebook. So like Milinder said, Sri Lanka still social media has the Facebook the highest penetration. 7 million people, that's 30% of Sri Lanka's population is on, 33.2% of the population is on Facebook. And this you can see here, 13 plus 41.5%. Percentage that Facebook is female, 36.4%, male is 63.6%. I will share the link to this Hootsuite slide later, so you can have a look at this in detail. And now I want to talk about Instagram. Okay, Instagram still is not high as Facebook, only 1.55 million people, but you can see the ad reach versus population is 7.2%. That means actually, and year-on-year ad reach is 19.2%. Instagram versus total internet use is 13.7%. 13 plus ad use 9.69%. Again, female is 35.6%. Male is 64.5%. The reason I'm showing the gender difference here is because most companies, they target, for example, certain products may be male dominated or female. So again, that's the reason that companies can use the statistics to target the customers. Okay, in this slide, what I want to talk about is digital maturity. Now, again, I explained that Sri Lanka is pretty much very advanced, right? Now, as you can see here, this is according to McKinsey company, one of the world's leading research companies. They have done research on Sri Lanka's digital maturity across Sri Lankan companies. Okay, so you can see here that the world average is 33 points, but Sri Lanka is 35 points. So this is actually very positive news for us, is that Sri Lanka's digital usage is above the world average. The world average is 33 points, Sri Lanka is 35 points. That's actually good news for us, because Sri Lankans are 2 points ahead of the global average in terms of using social media, in terms of digital maturity. Although I think countries like India and Bangladesh are more than us. I think 40 for Bangladesh and 45 for India, but Sri Lanka is still above the world average, right? Okay, what I want to highlight here is Sri Lanka digital maturity varies significantly by industry. I want to highlight here, for example, what business do you want to start? Okay, so as you can see here, in terms of digital maturity, the highest industry is e-commerce, 72% maturity, e-commerce, 72 points. High tech is 44 points, others are 36, conglomerates is 36, travel and hospitality is still 36 points, higher than the average, professional services 33, banking, as you can see, still below the average, manufacturing is still below the average. So these are the figures by McKinsey for digital maturity. Okay, I want to quickly talk about in my Professor, do I have much more time? Professor Rohan?
Go on, Tazim. Take a few more minutes. No problems. Don't get yourself.
Okay, sure. I've been trying to cover as much as possible in this time, but give me another 5 minutes because I want to talk about experience branding. I'll try to finish this in
no problem. I think it's really worthwhile.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay, so let me talk about this first. So as you can see here, what I want to highlight here is this concept is very much used in branding. There's something called brand position, brand personality, and brand execution. So the best example of brand positioning is Apple. For example, Apple starts off, like Steve Jobs says, he starts off with brand positioning. That's the most important thing, because if you position your brand well, then you develop your brand personality. And then your brand personality evolves into your brand execution. So what I want to highlight here is whether it be brand personality or brand execution, brand positioning is most important. You see, Apple is targeting their brand. You see, people are even jumping in queues. There are fights in Dubai. There are fights in America. People are standing 10 days for the Apple phone. Why? Even though they can't afford it, because they position the brand so well. So Apple is one of the best examples in brand positioning. Like Steve Jobs says, I'll give a good example of Steve Jobs, what he says. Steve Jobs never does market research. Steve Jobs never does market research. You know why? He says, I build the product and I will sell it to the customer and they have to buy it. That's very aggressive marketing. He doesn't go around asking customers what they want. He makes a product and he makes the customer buy the product. So that's the type of branding that Apple does. They don't do market research. They make the product and they make the customer buy it. That's why I'm saying brand positioning is so important. Okay, again, I want to talk about experience branding. This is a very key concept, and in fact, I've done an entire lecture, a different program on experience branding, but I'll quickly cover it in the next 5 minutes about experience branding. Okay, so what is experience branding? Experience branding is an emerging disruptive form of branding, and it focuses more on the experience than the product or service. In a fiercely competitive market, it is imperative to make your brand stand apart, and experience branding is definitely one of the most important ways of ensuring that. Okay, now let me quickly highlight what experience branding is. Okay, so for example, you take Nike. Nike, the shoe brand, everyone knows. I want to ask you, have you ever seen Nike talking about their shoes? They never talk about their shoes. They never say the shoe will last for 5 years, 10 years. They don't say Nike is better than Reebok. It will not tear. They never talk about that. What they do, what do they do? They always show sports personalities. They show Michael Jordan. They show Tiger Woods. Why? Because that's another form of experience branding. So what they're showing is they're not showing about the product, but they're talking about the experience. Just do it. So that's the best example of experience branding is Nike. Another example that I want to talk about is Tesla. This I've used this image here. If you talk about Elon Musk, if you see Elon Musk never goes on TV and says Tesla car is better than Ford, Tesla car is better than BMW. What does he say? Elon Musk says, if you drive a Tesla car, you're saving the entire world. What does he mean by that? He's not talking about the car. He's talking about the experience. He's talking about something bigger. He's saying if you drive a Tesla car, you're saving on petrol, you're saving on green emissions, and you're saving the planet. Again, best example, Elon Musk. He never talks about the car, never talks about the product. So my advice to all the people out there who want to start the product or service, never talk about the product much, but talk about the experience. Again, Mountain Dew. What do? They never talk about the drink. They never say drink is tasty. They talk about what do you call that aggressive. There's a word for that. They talk about extreme sports, right? So if you see advertisements, it's always about there's a person flying off a bridge or there's a person jumping off. Again, you don't talk about the product, but you talk about the experience. Again, Red Bull, another example. Red Bull doesn't talk about the drink; they talk about extreme sports. Another example is Uber. If you talk about Uber, again a good example of experience. If you see Uber advertisements, they never talk about the cab service or they never talk about the speed. They talk about the experience for the customer. So that's experience branding. I can talk much more in detail, but I just want to give you a highlight. I'm sure you're clear now. Again, my advice to everyone who's starting a business is never talk about only your product, but talk about the experience. Quickly, I'll give you an example. I started a business, King Coconut Water brand. Actually, me and my brothers, we started King Coconut Water brand in 2016, where we exported King Coconut Water to the world, especially Maldives and the UAE. So we had the King Coconut Water in bottles and we exported it. So I had some influencers from Dubai who came down and they spoke to me and they told me, how are you branding this? So I told them, I'm talking about the drink. I'm thinking King Coconut Water is healthy. It's good for your health. It makes you more active, more energetic. But they said, no, don't talk about the drink. They said, focus on the brand. So what I did was in my social media, I promoted Sri Lanka, the beaches. So when a person in the UK is looking, he thinks about the beaches. So it's not about the drink, but you look at the overall brand. So that's another example of experience. Okay. So before I wind up, I want to talk about three key areas which I think in the next 5 years, or already it's become very successful. But any venture, these are three areas which I think are the most successful and the most potential: e-commerce, fintech, and big data. These three industries are the most successful according to me. And if anyone is thinking of starting a business, you can look into these areas, because in the world and in Sri Lanka, there's a huge demand for e-commerce as always, fintech, and big data. Everything is on data. So data analyzing and data mining is the biggest thing now around. So before I wind up my lecture, my talk today, I want to give you some quick advice. These three keywords which I use for all my talks internationally and in Sri Lanka, I always wind up with these three words. In these difficult times, when you're thinking of starting a business or for personal or for professional, anything, use these three words in your life. And these are improvise, adapt, overcome. Improvise any situation, think ahead and try to increase your efficiency or productivity. Adapt is, especially in Sri Lanka, we have to adapt to the current situation and try to overcome it. Overcome is the final one. And if we strive hard to overcome the situation, we can really do well. So improvise, adapt, and overcome. So with that, I'll end my presentation today. And I think I have a few minutes to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So I think we have got a lot of questions answered as you went through the sessions.
Yes.
So
yes.
I want to highlight a few things for our audience. There are very important few key points Tasim communicated to all of you today. That is, what is the brand? Of course, right? It is just a very simple word, but it's very, very heavy word, right? The brand.
Yes.
Maybe you guys, you did not pay much attention to this brand thing and you confuse it with marketing, right? But now you know the difference, right? Brand is who you are, right? So what you are basically, right?
Yes.
Among many products out there, the unique personality, right? That is your brand. Then you have to do marketing to bring it out to the world, right? By some means. And then Tasim mentioned the new way of doing marketing, right? The digital space. I'm not going to rephrase any of these things, but he showed you by numbers, right, where to market your product, right, efficiently with very little investment, and also with very high return on investment. So you will get the handouts, the video, go through it and figure it out what is the best strategy for you, right? Based on Tasim's materials today for marketing and branding. And I think finally, Tasim pointed out experience branding. This is very powerful way to market your product, right? And is about giving an opportunity for the people to experience something, right? To experience something that they like to be part of. And in the process, you sell your product. In the process, you sell your product. So you are not going directly to selling something to somebody else, but as Tasim said, you are giving them a bigger opportunity, a broader opportunity to experience something they have never experienced before. So this eventually startup development is a game, right? With people, right? With the population. So you have to understand what people think and bring your product to them through very effective experience. So it's basically the experience people are they thrive for, right? And your product goes as a small substance in the process. So for that, thank you very much, Tazim. It was really eye-opening. If you have any more questions, I will reach out to you by email and send you the questions. Get all of these questions answered to our participants.
Yes, sorry, Professor. I've also already shared my email address and mobile phone on the chat. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can feel free to reach out to me. And I will also share the presentation slides with you so that you can share with all the participants.
Yeah, excellent. I have already posted the lecture materials on the website so that they can download.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tasim. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you up later. Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and all the best for all your ventures. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you.
All right. So now let me introduce our next speaker of the day, Mr. Sudat De Silva. Sudat was also was not able to deliver his session earlier on because he was out of the country. Now he's back and we were able to schedule it today. Sudat is the general manager of ZPM Sri Lanka Company Private Limited, which is a joint venture between ZPMC and Access Engineering PLC. He's also the general manager port services of the Access International Private Limited. He has massive decades of experience in that area. So Sudat has worked across many industries and in multinational organizations, including ports and maritime industry in the regions of South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Gulf. He's currently representing ZPMC, is the global leader in container handling equipment, and is also engaged in technical and contract negotiations with terminal management giants like Sri Lanka Ports Authority, and also CM Ports, Abu Dhabi Ports, and APMT. He is currently working in the process of technical review of ECT project of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. So he's a heavy lifting guy today. So that earned an MBA in Management of Technology from the University of Moratuwa, a MSc, a Master's in Sustainable Energy Engineering from KTH, which is Royal Institute of Technology, Sweden, and a BSc in Electrical Engineering from the University of Moratuwa. And he also holds Diploma in Occupational Health and Safety from the University of Colombo. So I think you are meeting today a person who has been through a very massive experience in his chosen area of technology. And he's here today to tell you how you can bring in technology to your company. So to build your company for success. So Sudat, thank you very much for joining in today. Please take over the proceedings. Siddharth, you're on mute.
Right. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you're on. Yes. I just came back from Abu Dhabi, actually discussing some of the matters with this Abu Dhabi ports for this, as you correctly said, regarding these port operations. Rather than taking more time, shall I share my screen?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, topic today, Rohan, is follow a successful business model different to your competitor, because I will get my own experiences in Sri Lanka. So how to bring because this is a entrepreneurship, we are discussing on entrepreneurship. So plus how to bring changes to the company, and as I've already debated, this successful business story and the challenges I have faced. This when just give me a minute. Sorry about this. And the challenges, right? So, and I'll bring some seaport sector example. I think I don't think some the people who are, joining there don't have much of a sea port experience here. So that's what I bring some of the key examples here. So this is the, I think when you go to like this Colombo area, you can see a lot of these cranes, and this the operation is they are moving these containers from ship to shore, and then even inside the ports there's another set of cranes to move the these containers here and there inside the port. So when we talk about this, what do you call this, port industry, one common term we have to use is the TEUs, that is tons of equivalent units. So yes, this is a typical 20-foot container, and one TEU is we call this one 20-foot container is a one TUE, tons of equivalent units. Yes. Then the other one is a portable container. That portable container means that two units, 2 units. Then there are some terms, I'm discussing some of the terms related to the terminals. This is a hub port. This actually Sri Lanka is a hub port. It's a central location which cargo from mother and feeder vessels are transshipments. You might know that what Colombo port is doing. They bring all the cargo from different countries, and they transship. They put into the small ships and then send it back to the most of the container hub ports in India. That is 80% of the cargo which we are handling is going to India. This is actually we are located in a very this strategic location, the Colombo port. So by using that, I think we have developed our ports into a hub ports at the moment. So as you see, this we're from Colombo, especially we are sending cargoes to Cochin, Mangalore, Mamboga, Mumbai, this Chennai, Visakhapatnam. All these areas we are handling our cargo to these places mainly. And our competitors as hub ports is this Port Kelang, Tanjung, Pelps, Singapore, Salalah, and Dubai. These are our competitive ports. Yes, these are some general description of Colombo Port. I think once I share this in the presentation to you all, you can go through. But that is you can read and understand. Basically, that's what I'm telling. These TUs. In year 2021, Colombo Port altogether handles around 7.25 million of TUs, and as a shares Sri Lanka Ports Authority 30%, SAGT is a private port is 25%, and CICT is 44%. Actually, I am basically will discuss more on this CICT, that is Colombo International Container Terminal, and this is my case study on them. Right, and the container terminals we are having in Colombo Port itself is Jaya Container Terminals is owned by Sri Lanka Ports Authority. East Container Terminal is also by Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Unity is also by Sri Lanka Ports Authority. South Asia Gateway Terminal is owned by a joint venture between some of the terminal company we call APMT plus I think John Keels of Sri Lanka. And Colombo National Container Terminals is owned by China Merchant Ports. It's one of the giant container port handlers in the world. So, and West Container Terminal, I think this new one is at the moment is constructed by Adani. And this is the port of Colombo. I think you can go through all the capacities and other things later because we have very limited time, right? So we have like 18 meter. This is the 18 meter depth here, and 20 meters basin plus the other one JCT and the other area is around basically 15 meter plus, sometimes 50 meter minus. So this is the one of the deep water terminal in Sri Lanka. Currently is operating CICT is operating is in this deep water terminal. And this Eastport, the newly construction Eastport and Westport is terminals actually is also is 18 meter depth, but currently at the moment East and West are not operating, but they are on construction process at the moment. The CICT is only the deep water terminal in South Asia at the moment. So these are the the Colombo port itself having the 400 plus terminal tractors, 138 rubber tired gantry cranes, which are operating inside port, and RMG is also some kind of a small cranes, but going on rail mounted gantries, and 54 quayside gantry QCs. Also, we are sometimes called these ship to shore cranes, which are the big ones I showed earlier. Yes, and we have some container berths, we call some berths where we can have some feeders, ships where we can park the ships. How many ships we can park? We call the berths. And 4 kilometers queue length, the where this, the queue length is where the ships can be parked. Then when we consider the throughput, that is, as I earlier mentioned, that is in TUs, how many TUs we are doing. The total is around in 2016 to 2021 is around, from starting from 5.55 million TUs to, for 2021, 7.25 millions. We can see the CICT itself done 3.21 millions from 7, almost close to 50% at the moment by this CICT. So these are also some facility, these what the JCT having and what's the ECT having, and what are the South Asia gateway terminals and other things having, some of the general informations. So my case study partner is Colombo International Container Terminals. Let's see how they grow and what kind of business model they develop. Actually, it's a joint venture company between China Merchant Ports Harbour is 85% and is Sri Lanka Ports Authority is only 15%. And also the first deep water terminal in South Asia, capable handling the largest vessels around afloat. And there's a huge investment of $500 million plus. Right. So now we come to the point. What's the business model they use, to bring this terminal into this model starting from 2013. So what the business model they use is, they keep the core business with them, and they outsource all the other things. If you are going to start start your own business, so there are a lot of when we consider all the other terminals in Sri Lanka, South Asia Gateway Terminal, and the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, and even the Hambantota HIPG, most of the times what they are doing, they have their own staff to handle everything, the operations, maintenance, transportation, everything they use their own staff. But when the CICD starts this business in 2013, they use this different kind of a model that is different to the competitors, right? So what they did, they only keep the core business. There's the operation part from them. That is the merchandising and operations by CICD by itself. And the equipment maintenance to the major equipment manufacturer. They asked that is my company actually. They asked the major equipment manufacturer, okay, you handle the maintenance of the business, and the transport and logistic operations also they have handed over to some other party that is the well-known party at that time with the Colombo Logistics, and the other small services also, the various small service providers. So this is the business model they run for this last 10 years, and I must say it's a very much successful model in Sri Lanka. So what are the success factors with them? Right, they sign all the fixed term contracts with all subcontractors, and no profit share. Right, so the container business in Sri Lanka, I mean the port sector is never stop the business. Even at a war, at the large scale war, it will be the large organization will stop the business. Even this Corona period, for a single day, it never stopped the operation, and no profit share. I mean, so once they sign the fixed term contracts, the subcontractors, they don't have the profit share, right? Then the main factor, one of the main factor is the low labels, and less threat of forming trade unions. I know, my experience with Sri Lanka Ports Authority, they are having 23 active trade unions inside. Now these days, actually, I am involving in this ECT terminal, from the day one, because we are providing the gantry case to this port. So a lot of issues from the trade unions, but while this following up this successful business model, the forming of trade unions inside that particular CSC terminal is very limited, right? So, and they concentrate on core business and on other team businesses. So now, because they have enough money, and they are now going for some other businesses in their own area and sometimes in other areas. Very recently, they have started their own warehouse facility inside the port. So that is, going one step ahead. And for last 10 years, no trade unions formed, as I already discussed, informed successfully, and no trade union actions happens in that particular terminal. So it's operating 365 days. But sometimes, the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, even the SAGT is going on some strikes, close for a few days and something like that. Then all the other ships also coming to this place. And these are CSCD facilities, the one thing I want to highlight is their design capacity is only 2.5 million TEUs per annum. But now they are bypassing that amount at the moment. From last 2 to 3 years time, they are doing 3.2 something like that. I mean, more than 100%, maybe close to 120%. So it's the very successful business model, so you can see this from 2014, how they grow, this as a percentage of these container handling business in Sri Lanka. So from this is what what is the data available with me. They started 2004. They started in 2013, but 2014 they are only 14% share, but now it's almost 38% share they are having at 2017, but it's more than now close to 50%. Yes, and also the how they this the people's the number of peoples they are having. I think the key service provided for CICD is the Colombo Logistics. They have 1,000 or people, because there are a lot of drivers. Because drivers has to move the containers here and there. And my company is ZPM Sri Lanka is have 200 all technical staff there. And this RTG, that's what how this this they have RTG and Navigate operators 250 400. Some data, this I think. So these whole Colombo Logistics have around 1,000 plus, and CPM Sri Lanka 200, and CICT itself have, I think, only around 300 people. They have to this the profit share. I mean, if they're sharing, only they consider their people, not for this Colombo Logistics or CPM Sri Lanka. This yeah. Right. Then the CPM Sri Lanka is actually a BO. I mean, apart from, because because when we start this the terminal CICT, they asked our mother company to start the operation. So while they ask having a good business model, they ask this container the equipment manufacturer to undertake these services, maintenance services. So then actually when our this our participants here, they want to start some kind of a business with a multinational. Actually CPMG is a multinational. So I would like to share some small my experience with you all, what kind of strategies we use and what kind of challenges we face when we are forming this company. Right, we are doing all the big equipment maintenance, facility maintenance, and support services in to this CICT and even the HIPG at the moment. And the one thing I want to mention, that how the CICT behave in the COVID era. This how they and together with their subcontractors, how they react. So basically, we introduce some free transport to all our staff. We start the operating buses because we are working in this the sector. Our sector is a special sector, and this what do you call is coming under what do you call? I didn't get the exact name. That is we cannot stop the operation. So we provide all the transport to our staff, and sometimes the remote accommodations, especially the breakdown staff, ship staffs, and sometimes you have to introduce new incentives for our staff, and even we have arranged vaccine centers for all our staff within the facility. So because we all can did this because the CICT and their subcontractors have enough money at that time, because we are working and we are getting all our revenues, right? So later I will discuss some of the other actually our joint partner, how they behave. They are in this construction sector. The construction sector business has been down at that time, though how they behave in that era. Yes. And these are some of the highlights. Actually, this presentation is a very general presentation. I basically doing for my stakeholders. So I use some kind of the presentation slides there, and some kind of challenges and problems we face. This when we working with because the CICT, because they are doing very good at the moment. This operating beyond the limited the design capacity. So we also have some challenges because getting the equipment for the maintenance is difficult, and the productive requirements, and now this sometimes the high employee turnover actually, because once the people get experience in the port sector, they can get highly paid jobs in especially the Gulf countries, because Gulf countries there are no enough staff by own. And these are some of the challenges. And when we forming a joint venture company with this multinational giant, so especially with the China, this is a Chinese company. Actually, it's a Chinese company. CPMC is a Chinese company owned by the Chinese government. Yes, and our other party is Access Engineering PLC. Most of you know this Access Engineering PLC is a giant in Sri Lanka with this construction industry. And the cultural fit, this Chinese and the Access Engineering PLC, especially the people, the cultural fit between these two teams. So I am heading one team. There is another guy, another team from China. So sometimes we start our discussions somewhere around the 4 p.m. and it goes around to maybe 8 9 to sometimes 9. It's a late night. So when we discuss and we think that after discussions, they have we managed to convince them on some things, but it is not the case. So what has happened? They start before we wrap up. When we have some small the points discussed, then they are still in the initial stage. Something like that. It's very difficult to start. It almost took like 6 months to come into some of the conclusions. Actually there are some requirements. That is as you all know, there's a Board of Investment in Sri Lanka. When some other country come into Sri Lanka, they have to get some kind of a investment. So based on the size of the investment, how many dollars they are bringing, so we have to select a section by the 16 or something like that. So we have to deal with that BOI. Then we have formed an article of association. Then the article of association, especially with the company, we have to select a company secretary, and then we have discussed and agreed for this articles, what kind of articles both parties are agree. Then key positions for the operation, like who is the CEO, and who is the to take take control of the finance, like engineering, the directors and something like that. And also when we opening the accounts, so here because we have to at that time this our CPMC partner, they want some international bank. They even though we highlighted some of the benefits of this local banks, they said they don't want, because they want an international bank, either HSBC or Standard Chartered or something like that, to be deal with. And especially even there are some kind of accounts, this opening of accounts, we call SIA, because we have to send the money back to China. So there are some kind of special kind of bank accounts. You cannot use everything. And the other thing is which kind of labor. Actually, our business is very much labor oriented. As you know, we have around 200 to now 200 plus employees, all technical engineers and technicians. So you have to get, especially if you are targeting to arrange some kind of labor oriented organization. So you should know which labor act you have to deal with. This either Shop and Office Act or Factories Ordinance, because it depends especially the overtime. When you're paying overtime, the overtime calculations is basically coming from either Shop and Office or Factories Orders. They are different. I think the basic salary divided by maybe 200 and 240 port, something like that. So you have to decide exactly on what at the initial stage. So what will happen if you are using the wrong one? You will be in trouble later. If somebody come to work who knows these things, and if you are in it's a wrong act, so they will go to the labor, and then you will be in trouble. And the contract agreements, the signing of contract agreements, which even with the customers and and even the with the JV partners is some of the key requirements we have to discuss. Yes. So I think the coming to the next point, I think actually it's I don't know whether it's good to mention the name, but I think we'll keep the confidentiality of this information. So this our JV partner is Access Engineering, and we have to face the pandemic is very badly, and how this how this organization act at that time, this different to this the port sector companies, they are facing very dangerous situation at that time. So how they survive, how to survive, they cut all these parties, carnival, sports, events and everything, additional expenses they cut, everything stopped, and later they reduce the number of work, number of days work. So only we have to work 5 days there, but they ask their employees to work only 3 days. So in that case also they reduce the salaries. I mean, that especially in the private sector, when you are paying a salary, you will pay basic plus some allowances. It's like a 60-40. Most of the times it's a 60-40 percentage. If you are paying 60% of the basics, and from the total salary, 40% is as several allowances. So what they did, they only offer these basics and they cut everything on these other allowances. And then they remove all the contract labor and site staff, because at that time sites cannot operate. And then they downsize the organization for survival. The one thing I want to share with you, these organizations, if you are finding an organization, it doesn't have a heart, because you don't have to give a heart to the company, because the issue is, if you are having a heart, so then you cannot run that business in this kind of a pandemic situation. So if you want to survive your organization in this kind of a critical situation, so you have to do whatever you want to do. Now this is the particular companies, this currently it's surviving because they take this drastic and very, what you call this, brave actions to do take these kind of actions to survival the business and the organization. So I would like to share my thoughts. So how these two companies behave, in this corona pandemic, because the institution, they don't have money, because they are not businesses not operating. So how these the good business operating at that time behave, and the bad business, I mean the business which don't have good this operation at that time behave their business. So these are some kind of I think some valuable points you can have in your mind when you are start up your business and going forward. Then the other thing, the new technology transfer to Colombo port, actually this is I don't know, this is maybe something like new or not familiar with you all, but technology, I be a chartered engineer, because I am in most of the times with this port sector, and bring some of the new technology to the Colombo port. So even now we are dealing with this Colombo East Container Terminal. Currently, it belongs to Sri Lanka Ports Authority, and we are with our equipments we introduce many automatic systems. Actually, we are discussing at the moment especially now there are two equipment sites. One thing is this STS cranes, which this used for this ship to show that is the unload the cranes from the ship, and the other thing is the operation inside. The operation inside for the Colombo East Container Terminal project, we are using the automation. That is unmanned, so there is no manpower required for that. We call this ARMGs. Automatic rail mounted gantries. With this ABB technology, we are this is automated terminal, but now we are discussing with the government of Sri Lanka to automate the QC cranes also. If we successful, it will be like a fully automated terminal for Sri Lanka's first time. And there are a lot of automated terminals running successfully in most of the countries. So these are some of the technologies we introduced. This stack profiling. So you can see this is highly technical. These some of the this when we move these containers here and there. So what will happen? There might be some kind of accidents if the operator cannot see the containers, container stack. If the container stack like this, so you cannot. Sometimes the container operator might meet with some accidents with the other containers. But the stack profiling systems, so the operator can see where is the container profile of this stacking profile. Then this automatically stops. If they are coming to entangle with some of these containers, it will be automatically stops. These are some kind of technologies which are not used earlier, but will use in coming container systems in Sri Lanka in future. And vessel profiling is also the same thing. The vessel, the operator will see the vessel operation and the vessel profile, so that the accidents can be avoided. And chassis slip profile means sometimes this chassis with this lifting spreader, if the chassis is not properly removed removed from the system, so sometimes the chassis also going up with the container itself. So now we are introducing some kind of systems to to avoid these chassis lifting, avoiding the chassis lifting also. So these are some kind of a new subsystems coming with the cranes, new submarine cranes. So if you are having any, it's all about my presentation. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Then otherwise, if you can send the questions to me, I can answer at a later stage. No issues. Rohan?
Thank you, Siddharth. That was excellent. We have a few questions in the chat. Can you see that, Siddharth, or can I spell it out for you?
Yes, I cannot say anything. Better, Rohan, you can.
Yeah, so one of the questions is, what is your new strategy to overcome the future challenges with the probably other terminals, like West Terminal or something? What
You
do you
mean the
expect?
West Terminal?
Yeah,
West Container Terminal?
exactly.
Yes, actually, it's something like this. Actually, because I am working in this sector for almost last decade. So Sri Lanka Ports, in my view, Sri Lanka Ports Authority now should stop this container operation. And the reason they have around currently. I'm talking in this business perspective, right? So the revenue they are getting from the what do you call this other CICT or SAGT to the government of Sri Lanka is more than what SLPA is getting from their business. And also in today's business, because we have to almost all the this Adani is a Adani is a party who is handling this the majority of the 90% of the continental embassy in India. So we have to go with Adani because otherwise, even now there is the port in Kerala, Visinjan port is in operation. I mean, they will start the operation also because Adani is a giant working in that field. So we should go with always, because Sri Lanka Ports Authority is a government and there's no, it's really difficult to compete with other what do you call this other competitors, because CM Port is a multinational giant. They are having container ports most of the countries, and this like Adani, right? So what I insisted sometimes, Sri Lanka Ports Authority should actually they should act only like a regulator, plus they are keeping some kind of a royalty, plus by giving these terminals to the private party, and they are getting some kind of but there are a lot of they are getting a lot of in several ways they are getting the revenue that is for the government of Sri Lanka. So I think my personally think we should go with these giants, and then the country will benefit, and also we will get more business.
Exactly.
So that's the current strategy of the whole world is using.
All right. So that there's another one I just posted. It says, in your view, what are the opportunities small and medium enterprises of this country have with the terminal operations? Is there anything that the SMEs can be part of in these port operations?
Yes, definitely yes, because the even not actually we are currently even discussing with some of the terminals in Abu Dhabi and some other countries, this to kind of having some kind of a joint business. There are a lot of opportunities, so that's what I'm telling. So if it is a government, you say if everything is handled by government, is very little chance to other people to come and do this work. But the trade of all these terminals, they will, even the Adani, they will outsource some, definitely. They will keep the operation and then outsource. So there are a lot of outsource operations available to the outside world. So if you are in that field, definitely yes.
Yeah.
So definitely yes. That's how I came. We CPMC Lanka, because CPMC is the manufacturer, and we get this business from CPMC and China merchants by discussing, because if they did everything by themselves, no chance for us. Right. So then by having my company after 10 years operation in now, so we are actually at that time we start with only 25 engineers. The technical staff, few engineers and other technicians. Now currently I have more than 250, and most of them I have several engineers doing the crane commissioning in most of the countries. Pakistan, today at Pakistan, Bangladesh, even in America, I hired one good guy to America, some of the American ports. Lot of business opportunities come to us, the Sri Lanka, and yes, definitely, if you are interested, in some kind of the business with port related systems, is really available in time to come, because most of the times I think all these terminals will be privatized very soon.
All right. So your message is the government has to play the regulatory role
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
let the private companies, enterprises to do the
Yes.
business, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that'll help the other businesses to grow and also
Exactly.
to scale it up, further
Yes.
develop the port operations. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
All right. Then there's another question, probably the last one, Siddharth. It says, how do you collaborate with Marine for supplying rubber-based products, rubber fenders, rubber molds,
Yes.
parts,
Yes. Yes.
etc.?
Yes, yes. So basically, Rohan, what they're asking, it's not so clear. So they're asking, so these rubber fenders and other things are available freely. I mean, they are manufacturing in some of other countries. But what we are in Hambantota, actually what we did, most of the fenders by my people, my technical staff there, we didn't, because there's some repairs, so we did the repairs by ourselves, rather than getting, because there are a lot of fender requirement to these ports. Yeah, definitely yes. So what we can do is, I mean, there are some chances, they are tendering. So a lot of opportunities for the even what we did. We did the for Hambantota, we repaired repaired the fenders, existing fenders, using the local materials and local stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. But what you
All
have to do
right.
is, you have to have a kind of a good relationship. We have to build a relationship with the either service providers or the terminal itself. So actually, Rohan, actually, in my case, the last time I was in Dubai to discuss with these Abu Dhabi ports to get the because they want to have a discussion, start discussions to provide the services, the maintenance services for their terminals, using our staff. This is a great opportunity for us, because this the Abu Dhabi and this kind of countries, they don't have their own staff, enough staff. They hide from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and something like that. But we as a company, we guaranteed many things, and now they are having discussions with them to provide the services by Sri Lankans, by keeping some kind of business strategies with them.
All right. There's a quick question here.
It's okay, no problem, Rohan. I have enough time. If
All
the other
right.
guys have time, I'm okay.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yes.
There's one question from Ruzan. Maybe this is not very relevant, but if you are able to answer, please go ahead. The question is,
Yeah, sure.
since we are doing import business, what are some strategic advice you can provide us to reduce the import charges or freight charges? Is it something you?
Yeah, actually, I'm not in the import business, but the charges,
Yeah.
I think they're very difficult, because the issue is that we have a tariff. The Sri Lanka government of Sri Lanka, they have the tariff structure, so we have to follow this tariff structure, Rohan. I mean, that's
Yeah.
my answer. So
All right.
there's no Anki business there. This we have to. There's a tariff structure, so you have to follow the tariff structure. Don't go for those things. I mean, so
That's right.
there are some businesses. These very interesting businesses where you can find these low taxes and other things. This. So that's
Right.
up to there, and especially what I can do is, there is a code called this. I didn't exactly get the name now at the moment. When we import or export, we have to follow that HS that code. I think HS code. Yes.
Yep.
So if you are interested in that, whatever, you just go through the HS code and see what's the HS code. So that HS code, you have the tariff, sometimes free, import taxes free, something like that. So my advice to go through these HS codes and see what kind of the item you are looking for, so you can get some more information on that.
Right. Excellent. All right. So let me now wrap up. Could you unshare your screen, Siddharth?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to wrap up the session by giving you some highlights. Number one, so that presented a case study, real case study, that is Colombo International Container Terminal, their business model, right? Please read this again. The lecture materials and video will be available very soon. So what is the difference between the CICT model versus the models practiced by other competitors, right? So that is number one. So if I may say, one of the very key reasons is that CICT did not try to do everything by themselves. They did not want to handle everything, but they outsourced strategically certain services. So that services are provided. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to pay that amount. You are not in any of these troubles trying to get these services within your company, right? So keep that in mind when you develop your own businesses also. Look at it. What is the essential things that you need to handle, and what are the peripheral things that you don't want to waste your time on, so that you can simply outsource it to someone else. All right. So use this as a strategic strength in your company. I want to remind you what John Fraser said in his lecture. Remember, he talked about the Ford Motor Company in US, 100-year-old company. It was a company on vertical integration, which means they did everything within the facility, no outsourcing. Everything was there. He mentioned, okay, they brought in rubber and sand and everything, and after about a few weeks, they manufactured a car. Car goes out of the facility. So vertical integration. That's not the modern day business model. All right. So keep that in mind. And also, he pointed out how he incorporated his company, ZPM Sri Lanka, right? And he had to deal with the Japanese counterpart. Language is different, laws are different, banking is different. But he explained how nicely, strategically, he managed the situation. So managing this kind of situation is a very important skill that you need to develop as entrepreneurs. All right. Uh, and also he explained how he managed the COVID situation. Very, very tough situation for everybody, but they were able to manage the situation, face the situation. So it comes to my mind what Tasim said at the end of his presentation. He mentioned about improvise, adapt, and overcome, right? So that explained with a case study how they improvised within the company. They had to bring in new rules, new regulations, new strategies, new services, right? Because of COVID, right? So they were not thinking about that kind of thing before COVID, right? So they had to improvise, right? If they were just sit and waiting, right, they would not have been a company anymore right now. Nobody knows about ZPMC. It's gone now. Then, so they passed through the COVID period because they improvised, and also they adapt to the situation, right, and they overcome the problems. So it is a very good case study. So that presented is a very good lesson for you. And also he mentioned about company incorporation process, strategic process. You guys need to follow that process if you want to incorporate your own company. And also labor laws. You are working with people, right? You have to follow the rule of the land, right? When it comes to labor. So you have to keep that in mind. Even he mentioned about how to pay overtime, how much and all that. You have to do your homework and put that into your plan, all right? So finally, he mentioned about technology infusion. You can't go ahead with the same technology all the time. When the world changes, when the technology changes, you have to bring in new technology to get rid of some of the inefficiencies in the system, to improve your productivity, to improve your quality of service, and so on, right? So he mentioned how he planned all these things. So for that, I'm really thankful, Siddharth, for your time and great presentation. I think it was highly educational for all of us. All right, so we are out of time today, almost 9 o'clock or 9:04. So I want to say goodbye and good night to all of our participants, and I'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Be sure to be there for the closing session. Good night.